Hey everyone, here is your applied dissertation, the problem statement. This is the problem statement video. You can tell that I'm wearing the same thing. I have now recorded 3 videos in a row, so I'm getting a little video recording fatigue, but we're going to keep this fresh. We've been over some of these things, so you've seen them in the previous videos, so we're just going to go over them really quickly. But the big deal here is I really want you to understand the nature of the problem statement. And again, we're doing an applied dissertation. This is where you're solving a problem. So your problem statement is key. With an EDD, a DBA, you're solving a problem. It is problem focused. PhD is research question focused. You have a question, no one's solved it before, you're going to solve it. Or you're going to, not solve it, but you're going to study it and find out the answer to the question. It's a little bit different. It's similar but different. Aspects of a problem statement. Problem statement should represent a clear problem in the field, not an opinion, not a problem you think you have. There needs to be some value in what you find. It needs to resolve something that is significant, that will help people. The problem statement should be clear, it should be succinct. It needs to be really dissertation worthy. You don't want to be too limited in your scope. You don't want to be too broad in your topic. You don't want to go too big. You don't want to solve a problem like a big problem that you could never solve even if you wanted to. Selected you. So let me back up. Here is some of the advice that we say to make sure your problem statement is limited in scope. Don't try to solve a problem for the whole world. Select a defined population, a population that you have access to, a population that you're going to be able to, that are in your field that you're going to be able to get to. You may want to do a dissertation that studies members of Congress, but are you going to be able to access members of Congress to interview them? Do you think that they will allow that? Depends on the topic, but you have to think about that. And design a project that could be generalized or is transferable to the larger population. So there's the population you study, the sample population, and then there's the larger general population. You want this to be transferable if it's qualitative, and you want it to be generalizable if it's quantitative. But if you get too limited in your scope, then you're not doing a dissertation-worthy topic. Just looking at 1 or 2 employees, even if you do one from 3 different companies, your participant pool is too small. Studying students at just one school is too small of a scope. It's too limited. It's not going to be as transferable as it needs to be a dissertation topic. The problem needs to be unique. It needs to be substantiated in the literature. So you need to be able to find researchers who have pointed out this problem as connected to something they were working on. So this is where ideas for future research in research articles come in handy, because someone has studied the area or someone has studied the field and they have said, no one has studied this yet. No, this is a problem. No one's done anything about it. The problem statement needs to be described in a level of detail that people understand that it's meaningful. People understand that there's research to back it up. They know it's not your opinion. And it is a dissertation-worthy topic or problem. The problem statement is the foundation of your study. Having a clear problem statement is the end-all be-all. That is what is going to guide you and hold you through the rest of the process. If your problem statement isn't correct, if it's murky or muddy or confusing, you're not going to be able to get research questions completed. You're not going to be able to pick a good methodology. You're not going to have the right background research because you're going to be going all over the place, and you want to make sure you're not falling into that trap. It needs to be significant as evidenced in the literature. It needs to be important to you, but not something you're overly passionate about. Something important that you would enjoy working with over the course of a year. Your chair is going to work with you to get it right. Until you have a chair, you can work with the doctoral faculty. They know what a problem statement is supposed to look at, so they can help you with that process. When you're creating your problem statement, you're going to be thinking about things from a general problem in the field, out there in the world, in your specific field, and then a specific problem that is part of that general problem. It's part of it. So here's the general problem. This little corner over here is the specific problem you're going to study that will help to solve that general problem in the field. The general problem basically needs to come from the literature. The literature needs to say this is a problem that we're seeing in the field. The specific problem then is more localized. This is something that you've seen in your local organization or in your local area, and you've seen it as a mirroring the larger problem that you've seen in the greater world. A recent example from a student is they were looking at gender disproportionality in superintendents. There are very few female superintendents, even though 80% of school teachers are women. There are very few women at this higher level position of superintendent. She wanted to study why that is. Now, this is a problem that affects every school system in the world. It's a large problem. However, she's going to study it as it is in 2 provinces in Canada, which are local provinces for her that she can access the populations there, and she's going to study why the issue is happening there, so that then she can maybe transfer that knowledge to a greater area, maybe to the Pacific Northwest, maybe to the entire United States, maybe to other countries in the world. It would be up to the people reading her research to know if it was transferable, but that was her hope, that her project is great enough in scope that people will find it to be valuable. You need to think of who your audience is, who is the people that are affected by this problem, and who's going to benefit from it, and then how does this problem connect to business for the DBA or to leadership for the EDD. That is one of the things you're going to want to consider. So let's look at some examples of a good or a bad problem statement. And since we're not doing this live and interactive, I'm just going to kind of go through these pretty quickly here. And then you can ask questions about, why the things I said were what I said. So, problem statement. It's not known how the use of smartphone application affects the technology accessibility better, the language barrier, and the parental involvement with Title I elementary school. Parental involvement has been identified as one of the most important factors impacting children's learning. Citations. However, encouraging parents of high poverty, high minority students to participate in parenting activities continues to be a challenge, supported by research. So, is this a problem? Where do you see a problem here? I see them describing a lot of issues, but they don't know. You don't know how smartphones apply to this. This is a PhD kind of question. This is a research question. Anything that begins with "it's not known," then if it's not known, if there's nothing known about it, then you're going to have to do a research question-based dissertation. I don't see the problem that they're presenting here. So really the idea is, what's the problem? The problem is probably getting parents involved in schools. How can we get parents more involved? That would be more of getting down to maybe what is the problem? Parents not being involved, students' grades are going down. Minority students, poor students are not performing well and are falling behind. That's a problem. And then the problem that you see in your area is a lack of technology, or the problem has been solved in a particular school district by the use of technology, and you want to study that so you can help bring that solution to a broader audience. Here's another one. Food waste in the United States has increased 50% since 1974. The problem is there is little public acknowledgement of this issue at the farm, grocery store, and restaurant levels. Also, food waste from across the value chain translates into financial loss for farmers, crops on the field, grocers, retailers, unsolved produce, and restaurants through increased cost. Is this a problem? Well, this person thinks it's a problem, but there's no substantiated research that's saying that this is a problem. I agree that it's horrible to waste food, but that's not a dissertation topic. That is said, this is advocacy hiding as research. This is someone trying to prove a point through research, and this is not what we do. Here's another one. There are no studies that show how the implementation of real-life strategies can affect financial literacy among Title I high school students, especially those with language barriers. Integrating changes in the curriculum at an early stage of education is essential. Implementation of resources in financial literacy is crucial, and most importantly, must be done at early stages of the youth's education. Further, applications of strategies which focus on minority populations and social economic factors to administer financial literacy skills and knowledge are essential. What about this one? Well, again, you're talking about there are no studies showing, so it's not known. This is another way of saying not known. What are they saying? Well, they're basically, it sounds like people have already addressed this issue by telling us that you need to integrate changes in the curriculum, you need to do it at certain stages. It sounds like these people have solved this issue of financial literacy among Title I high school students. But how do we know that real-life strategies are going to solve that problem? Why do we care? What's the problem about? And really, where are we going with a problem? We don't want to just look at willy-nilly and think, oh, maybe it would help if we used real-life strategies. Or, I know a school that uses real-life strategies and they're doing great. Well, what about the other school that's doing great that's not using real-life strategies? You know, there could be 100 different reasons why a school is doing great. So you really need to have the research that backs it up that goes along with this and says, yep, this is an issue. Here's another one. It's not known how emotional intelligence of faculty and administrators at institutions of higher education influences adult learners' success. It's not known. Again, why is this a problem? You know, why is it a problem? That's what the main thing. And lastly, recent studies have shown a high correlation between employee advancement and the effective use of soft skills. Yet many technical college programs do not incorporate instruction of soft skills. Consistent with this, it would appear that instructional designers in technology programs at the community colleges in the Puget Sound region have not demonstrated a good understanding of what it takes to design programs to cover both technical and soft skills. So, this is much closer to a really resolved problem statement. There's a correlation that has been shown in the research between soft skills and employee advancement. Okay, many technical colleges aren't doing that. But again, this student basically has now talked about what they know from what they've seen out there in the real world. But I'm not seeing what the problem is. Are the people in these technical colleges not getting jobs? Are they not getting promotions? What's the problem here with soft skills not being taught? You know, where do we see a problem coming in from this? And how is that problem, you know, how is it being addressed? Are students asking for these soft skills and they're not getting them? That would be more of a problem. Students are asking for this and they're not getting it. It's a problem. It's important to know that your problem statement is going to evolve. It is going to start out and it's going to then need revisions and revisions and revisions. You're going to change one word and it's going to completely destroy the problem statement. Or you're going to need to change one word and that's going to mean you're going to need to change the other words as well. It's revision after revision until you have a solid problem statement. And then you need to leave that alone. When you get a good one, you need to leave it alone. That's what's really important here, is don't keep tinkering with it, because again, changing one word, just one word, can change the tenor of the entire process. It's these kind of things that you have to think about. A problem statement is not enough, however. You've got to come up with a good problem statement, but they need to address a field of scope where the problem exists, the background of the problem, deficiencies in the literature, who will be impacted, and is it a specific leadership or business issue? This will be addressed in your 15-point prospectus table. Tool, which is a table. Challenges with problem statements. It's not a problem, it's a question. It's not substantiated by the literature. It's mostly opinion. It's too broad in scope. It would take too long to research, or the data would be too hard to gather or analyze. And again, it takes on a problem for the whole world. It's looking at Middle East peace. Well, yeah, that'd be a great topic to study, but you would never be able to get an answer to that. Not in your lifetime, at least. So here's an analogy that has been helpful for some students. Rather than think of your research as the whole forest, think of it as a seed in the forest. It's a small, but it will grow and reach out to other parts of the forest in time. Same set of your research. It can be small, limited in scope, impacting a small sample or population, but if it's well constructed, it will grow and expand to be generalized or transferred to a much larger population. Don't try to grow a forest. For now, just worry about planting the seed. And that is the truth of the matter. You're building your research on the shoulders of hundreds of other researchers that have gone before you, thousands of researchers, all the way back to Plato and Socrates. These people have used what we, in the Western world, conceptualize as the building of research. You take someone else's research and you use that to justify your research or to build on your research ideas, and then your research then adds to that pile. You're adding on to the pile of knowledge about a particular topic, and that's what's important, and that's why it has to be original. You need to add to the pile of knowledge. You may even add, this is the danger of doing a PhD, you may add nothing, and that's something. You may find that no results. There was a student when I was in college, and she was studying some neurotransmitters in the brain, and her theory was that this certain neurotransmitter controlled this certain hormone. And she was using rats in her study, and she had to give the rats these different neurotransmitters and then see their hormone imbalances. But eventually the rats had to be killed in order to study their brains. And about 20 rats in, she realized that she was wrong. That it was not doing anything to control the hormones. She still had to finish her study. She had still had to kill a few more rats to be sure. But once she did, her report was, no, this neurotransmitter does not affect this hormone. That was a negative result, but it's still adding to the knowledge that is being created, because now people know that at least doesn't connect to this. So it's one more thing off the list of what's connecting to this hormone. So we never want to go down that road, which is why your chair works with you so hard on your problem statements. But again, it is a possibility. It could happen. And you want to make sure to try to control for that by getting along with your chair, working with your chair, and creating a solid problem statement that will then be the heart of your entire dissertation. That's it for this. If you have any questions, please email them to your instructor or comment on them in the discussion boards.